I'm back, bitches! You miss me? Ha ha!
Are you ready?
I'm just Jim.
Welcome to episode 22 and a half of the Fantasy Football Monsters. In case you forgot, which would be understandable, I am Von Murder. This smelly pile of decaying flesh is Jimmy. Okay, listen, I am not arguing because we got something like a month's vacation, but why? I started to think we'd been canceled. If someone could have canceled us, it would have happened a while ago. Let's just say it's a really long story, but the summary is the producer was away, then he got bull's ass sick after the cruise, then apparently he needed to work on something that actually paid bills. Hope that shit worked out for him, because we aren't paying any. Okay, well, I guess that's good. I was getting bored at home while all my predictions were being wasted talking to my parrot. Why do you have a parrot? Do you know the things you can get a parrot to say? Nothing is more fun and socially awkward than having people over for dinner and having the parrot say, "He's gonna eat your brains." I mean, Ruby wasn't wrong. I was going to, but I wasn't looking to give them that much advance warning. You are insufferable. And speaking of, fresh off his nightly torture sessions with Freddy, we welcome back Morty.
So, yeah, guys, that was not cool. I am not thrilled with what happened there at all. Have you ever watched yourself get disemboweled night after night after night? Because I have, and let me tell you, no. That said, it's good to be back. It's nice that we get to share this camaraderie once again.
Yeah, sorry, I've had enough issues with Frank. I'm not getting in the way of that guy. I don't get hazard pay in my contract. Yeah, things I didn't miss. Words like camaraderie being used around me. Anyway, this is episode 22 and a half, because apparently the producer was actually trying to get an episode out before the divisional round, but that shit did not happen. But we do have everyone's Super Bowl matchup predictions from that episode.
Do we really need to do that?
Yeah, I think we can skip this one. We're keeping this shit 100 around here. Just because we didn't record doesn't mean we lost the predictions. So, starting with Morty, you correctly had the Niners and Lions in the NFC Championship, but being the Dan Campbell simp you are, you said Lions for the Super Bowl.
Werewolves have to root for the Lions. It's basically a rule.
On the AFC side, you also had the Ravens and Chiefs in the title game, but again, chose the wrong side in the Ravens. So, good job in divisional, but way to F up the conference.
Yeah, that's why you should pick with your brain and not your heart.
Jimmy, you got the Niners right, but you actually thought they'd be playing the Bucs? What kind of voodoo shit did Baker put on you? I guess I got too excited about when they pummeled Philly. Yeah, but at least you screwed your head back on straight to pick the Niners to win the conference, so good job. On the AFC side, you had the Ravens being visited by Buffalo, so obviously you didn't get that one right. What can I say? I'm not much of a Swiftie. Then how the fuck can you explain this? Or this? Where the hell did you get that? Fucking snowflake. Anyway, I wasn't perfect either, but I still had the Niners and Ravens in the Super Bowl. Figured the conspiracy theorists had a little more pull.
Speaking of the playoffs, I noticed you seem to be wearing something a little different this week.
Ha 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 almost forgot that. I may be a murderous, blood-sucking monster, but I don't welch on a bet. I said if the Packers beat the Cowboys, I would wear that jersey, and here I am. Oh man, what the actual fuck is going on there? By several metrics, the worst Cowboy playoff loss ever. But they're still keeping McCarthy? I can't handle it. For those of you who don't realize it, I typically wear a Jason Witten jersey, a great, now retired Cowboy. I think it may be time for me to become a great, but retired Cowboy fan. When I care more about winning than Jerry Jones does, that's a problem. For some reason, I don't get much joy out of making fun of you when you're like this. What the fuck can I say? We got fucking ape smashed. We let a quarterback in his first playoff game come into our house and punch us in the mouth. I felt a little better after Green Bay kept it close in San Francisco, but it still was a shit performance all the way around. There's nothing you can say to that.
How about we move to some other NFL-related news?
Sure. So Caleb Williams declared for the draft, which now puts the Bears in a very interesting position. I want to discuss this. What direction you think you're going to go if you're the Bears? I want to say this all depends on what you can get for Fields, but I don't think it does. Everyone is going to look at the Bears with the number one pick, knowing they're thinking Caleb Williams. They're either trading Fields for whatever they can get for him, which I think will be something like a second rounder in 2024 and 2025, plus either a third or fourth, or possibly a player they need, depending on who the suitor is. If they can get a first, they absolutely pull the trigger.
What if they just decide to trade the number one again this year?
Yeah, was getting to that. Opposite, they trade the number one for the second year in a row. But this time, what they got last time looks like nothing. Last year, they swapped first rounders, plus got Carolina's first for this year, their second for next year, and DJ Moore. If they trade out the number one this year, it's going to be for someone in the top 8 nearly for sure, and it will wreck all their draft capital. If I had to pick a trade partner, I think it would be New England. They badly need a QB, and a new coach will want a new QB. I could easily see New England swapping firsts, giving up a third in 2024, giving up a first and third in 2025, and a second in 2026, and maybe even another young good player. If Caleb Williams is half as good as people are saying he is in the NFL, having him will make free agency a little easier, and they can make it up there with veterans. Chicago obviously kills on that trade. The swap still gives us Chicago number 3 overall, which they can go and draft the best non-QB. If Washington decides to go QB with Drake May, they could take Marvin Harrison Jr. If they get someone like Demario Douglas in the trade, they could even trade back again and wait on an edge rusher like Dallas Turner or Jared Verse. Long story short, I think this is a very, very good year to be a Bears fan, and I think they will be extremely well positioned next year, no matter what direction they go. Even if they keep Fields, Fields can ball, and the trade could put lots of amazing pieces around him. I just want someone to draft a dude named Kool-Aid. What kind of Gen Z shit is that name?
He should have been a linebacker, so we could see memes of him breaking through walls.
That would have been most delightful. Okay, switching for a moment to extreme fantasy football. Duarte, your first league is free. You were the first to sign up. Congrats. Everyone else, there are still discounts out there that we'll be disclosing later, but they're not going to be free like Duarte. Signups are still a thing. Go to extremefantasyfootball.com to get in on that. But we may need a new booth monkey, since this one is too sickly these days, but he'll make that shit pretty soon, right? Oh, a redesign. Oh, that's great. because the current site looks like a fucking toddler put it together. I saw him. He looks bad. I also ate some of the food on that cruise, so I may understand why. I know he's still working on it, but I guess now he's spending his days learning the stock market.
How delightful! It would be nice to have some good competition in the Saxon Stocks League.
I don't fucking understand all that shit. You sit in front of a computer and click buy and sell on a lot of shit you can't even see. What a fucking joke! You can't really make any actual money doing that, can you? Oh, damn! Okay, well, I stand corrected. And you better make sure those checks don't bounce again, asshole! I know your secret now! We'll get you paid. We're all getting paid. Just slow your roll for now. This shit is slow, and the Wunderkind is just learning.
Perhaps we could do a show where we discuss the stock market and investing in greater detail.
It's funny you should mention that. We actually might.
Really?
Yeah. So we're the fantasy football monsters, right? Right. So why is that our name? Because it was a catchy domain we could get the .com on? I mean, yeah, mostly. But it's not like that's all we have to talk about. Don't get me wrong, I love me some fantasy football, and we're still going to discuss a lot of football. But Booth Monkey made some pretty good points after talking to some people on his cruise. Apparently, we don't have to be this narrow, and we can actually expand the show a bit if we're willing to branch out some.
This has me filled with intrigue. What were you thinking the future could hold for us?
We're still working on it. Right now, we're thinking it might mean more shows, but usually shorter ones. Keep this shit tight and under 10 minutes. We'll still have one where we talk fantasy football, but we might have others. Hell, you two might even get to actually host your own shows. Oh man, I call dibs on Undead Idol.
I hadn't really thought of myself as a primary host, but perhaps for the right idea, it could be right for me.
Yeah, once again, this is just something we're thinking about. We're even kicking around the idea of an audio-only podcast as well. It would be a lot easier if the whole video editing thing part got removed sometimes.
Indeed. I think our fans would enjoy some audio content from us as well.
Don't expect anything new this month. But yeah, we're kind of excited to expand the brand. But we're closing out this episode. I want some final picks for the big game. I'm not really supposed to say Super Bowl, am I? Oops. I'll start. I have to go Chiefs. It's so damn hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes and this team. They had a rough regular season, but they found their groove here. I'm going to go a little low scoring and say 23-17. For me, Niners. This squad hasn't forgotten about 4 years ago. They're the better team, and I think it'll show. But I think it will be a close shootout. 38-35. Oh, goodness.
Well, I will hardly be surprised by either team winning. But I'm going to also take the Niners. But I will predict at least 3 lead changes in the fourth quarter, with the Niners getting a last-minute 28-27 victory.
Well, at least one of us will be right. And we'll find out swiftly which one. Ha ha!
So, before we close the show, I want to know all about your Caribbean vacation extravaganza at sea, Jimmy. It must have been nice to have such wonderful weather in January.
We'll talk about it during the next show. I'm still going through all the pictures. It was interesting, to say the least. Anyway, for Morty and Jimmy, I'm Von Murder, and I need to go change. This damn Packers jersey is making me itchy as hell. Ha ha!